Hey guys, what's going on? It's Coach Ian here, Somerset Fitness Extreme and Somerset Martial Arts. So just wanted to talk a little bit. We got lots of craziness going on, and I don't want to talk about that at all. Actually, what I'd like to talk about today is athletic mentality. So many of my friends and so many of my students and things and people that grew up with me in jiu-jitsu or grew up with me in fitness, or I should say I grew up with some of them, like my former strength and conditioning coaches, things like that, or people like that. And for the most part, I've just about surpassed all of them as far as athleticism is concerned, physical strength, goals in athleticism. I kind of backed away from MMA, and I've had a lot of people ask me why I backed away from MMA. Well, there's a plethora of reasons. One, I was just the most unlucky fighter on planet Earth. I had 9 fight camps that I prepped for in about a 15 month time span. And again, not talking trash to Valor or Hard Rock. I love both of them guys. It was beyond their control. But, I literally at one of the events, I was at the event warming up with my hands taped, and it got canceled. And then several of the other events, the Border Wars events, all 3 of the Border Wars events, all 3 that got canceled anyway. Things like that. They literally were getting canceled. One of my fights for Strike Fest, apparently my opponent backed out, and I didn't even get word of it until I was like, "Hey guys, I'll see you on Friday to weigh in." They were like, "You don't have an opponent." I was like, "Oh crap, you gotta be kidding me." Just a run of bad luck. And then for you young fighters out there, I'm just gonna be ultra real. My childhood, moving, and a lot of different parts, serving in the military, it all made me a very aggressive, very internally angry person. And fighting for me was an outlet for that rage. And when I first got with my wife about 3 years ago, I still had that fire and that anger burning in me, and I swear the woman was a saint. Like every time I traveled, because I had to travel a lot back then to train, because I wasn't a very good business owner, so we basically just had a few guys in here at the time, and it just weren't high enough skill level to give me the work that I needed. And then I was basically coaching myself. So 2 mornings a week I was driving to Lexington, which is about 160 miles round trip for me. One round trip, so that'd be 320 miles a week. And then one day a week I was driving to Area 502 in Lexington, and every other Friday I was driving to I was driving to Johnson City to train with Adam Townsend and the Evil MMA fight team down there. I mean, I was spending hundreds and hundreds of dollars on auto repairs, gasoline, food, and then wasn't getting to participate in my sport. And honestly, it kind of broke me a little bit mentally. And then there were some other things that happened. I talked to one of the promoters about that kind of hurt my feelings. And, I get in my feels, I'm not going to lie about it. But honestly, the biggest thing for me is I realized I started wanting to just chase paychecks, and I didn't want to fight anymore for the love of fighting, and I still don't love fighting anymore. I let bad experiences with fighting ruin fighting for me, which was kind of stupid on my part. I should have just taken some time back instead of just going from fight camp to fight camp to fight camp to fight camp, and then just getting disappointment after disappointment after disappointment after disappointment. It was a very, very sad time, or not sad time, but just. And then I found a lot of peace in my life, and a lot of it was due to my wife. She takes amazing care of me. Like I post stuff up on Facebook and Instagram all the time, and the reality of the thing is we've got a or a fairy tale, relationship. Like everything I'm not good at, she's amazing at. Everything she's not good at, I do pretty good at. and we just complement each other so well, and we talk constantly. And the longer I stayed out of the cage, the more I realized I didn't have that just rage, the just anger constantly needing to be let out. So you young fighters, man, there's a reason that you're able to do what you do. There's a reason you're able to hurt people when you need to, or even when you want to. And I would highly recommend that you stay, watch yourself, take your time, don't get burnt out, things like that. And then since all that, I kind of transferred my focus over to CrossFit. I want to be a competitive CrossFitter. I'm 30 years old now, and I don't have a lot of athletic threshold left. I don't think anyway. I know 30 is kind of a young number, but I've had a total right shoulder reconstruction. I've had surgery on my hip and pelvis, 2 abdominal wall surgeries. I've got a torn meniscus in my left knee, which I just got a stem cell recruitment treatment in. I have a torn labrum in my left shoulder and a pretty bad case of bursitis. And then I have bursitis in my right knee and my left hip now. So I'm having a really hard time keeping on going. But the athletic mindset, like so many of my friends, like I said all that to be able to tie back in. Like so many of my friends say things like, I don't feel like I get any better, or it seems like you're always getting stronger, or the jiu-jitsu, like man, it just feels like I haven't made any progress since I got my last belt or got my last stripe or whatever. Well, guys, that's called not sacrificing. I'm not trying to say this to be a butthead, but every time one of you guys messages me to come over and drink or have a few beers, I tell you no. Every time I get asked to go kayaking, to go fishing, to go, basically do anything that takes me out of my routine that is chasing excellence or as good as I can possibly be, I say no. And it's not fun. But the truth of the matter is if you want to be great at something, you have no other plates to spin. You might get away with being a dad. Not for an MMA fighter, you won't. You might get away with being a husband if you have a very, very understanding significant other who supports you blindly like mine does. But that's really about it. You don't get to go four-wheeling on the weekends. You don't get to go night fishing when you should be sleeping and recovering. The reality is I want to be great. I want to make it to the games for the 2021 season. I'm right on par to be plenty strong enough by the time the 2021 season rolls around to start really ramping up my cardiovascular output and potentially be a top competitor in the open. I'm able to do that even at 30 years old because my only plate that I'm spinning is being a great CrossFitter or as great as I can be anyway. I get ample sleep. I make sure that my programming is on point. I break my workouts up so that I'm not getting overly fatigued. I only roll 3 times a week now so that I don't spend any energy doing boxing, kickboxing, none of that stuff anymore. I spar a couple of times a year. It's usually just to help the fighters get ready. Because even though old dude don't fight no more, I still like to get in there and mix it up every once in a while and push the guys. Of course, I don't have rounds like I used to anymore. I mean, Jesus, I remember we used to set a round timer for 10-minute rounds and go for an hour and a half straight with 1 minute rest between 10-minute rounds and just partner after partner after partner. I'd probably be lucky if I had like 3 threes in me right now. But guys, if there's any secret I can give you, and it's not a secret, it's just discipline. It's willingness to say no to everything else and be the best you can be at what you're good at. The only thing I make room for in my life is my family and reading my Bible. That's really it. And I know that sounds like kind of cliche, like, oh, work hard, hard work, dedication, all that crap. Well, it's not crap, it's true. There's a reason why the best people in the world say hard work pays off, because it does. Discipline pays off because it does. I didn't just wake up with a 350-pound front squat. I didn't just wake up with a 300-pound clean and jerk, 300-pound overhead squat. It doesn't happen. You have to make it happen through a repeat process, wash, rinse, and repeat every day. Now, if you want to talk more on the athletic standpoint about what are the three, there's only three categories that you as athletes really need to worry about. And that is sleep, training, nutrition, okay? And not in that order. Honestly, training should probably come last. You know why? Because nobody screws around when it comes to training. You got a fight coming up, you got an event coming up, you got a marathon coming up, or whatever. Nobody has a hard time going, man, I want to do good. I do not want to be that person that dies on the floor, so I've got to train. Everybody gets that part down. Sleep and nutrition, if you could divide these up evenly and say that they all are equally relevant in athleticism, then you've got 33 and a third, 33 and a third, 33 and a third. We'll just say 0.1 is everything else. But the reality is if you're devoting 45% of your energy into training, then you have to be taking away from something else. You're not getting enough sleep. When I'm doing high volume training, I'm rolling 30 rounds of jiu-jitsu a week. I'm doing 3-4 Metcons on top of 3 days a week of either strength maintenance or strength training. If I'm not getting nine and a half hours of sleep, I can't recover. If I'm not eating 5,000 calories a day or more most of the time, I can't recover. Right now, all I'm doing basically is rolling and working on strength output so that I can be at a really high strength echelon before I start upping my cardio, because as we all know, the higher cardio goes, strength begins to go down, and we try to meet in the middle. So we got to really, really key in those three circles, so to speak, right? Nutrition. Really research what works best for you. Try multiple diets. I've tried everything from being vegan to the alkaline diet to no red meat to all kinds of craziness. And at the end of the day, what I've found for me, basic nutrition works. I get about 350 to 400 grams of carbohydrates in a day, and those are real carbs, not sugar that's processed in your system into glucose, which then in turn is burned as a carbohydrate, also stores as pure fat. I'm talking about real carbs. Oats. I got a shake from X-Works that is called Motion. It's got 25 grams of carbohydrates, 3 grams of BCAAs in it. Brown rice, white rice, whole grains, things of that nature, whole wheat. Dave's Killer Breads, Killer Bread Bagels, things like that. Those are real carbs. I'm not talking about white bread, starch, spaghetti, crap like that is terrible for you. It's all enriched flour and stores as fat. So it's just going to make you fat. It's not going to make you fast. Now, if you need something easy to digest, you're about 2 hours out from a comp and you need some fast carbs, absolutely dive into those simple starchy carbs like that, because they will convert faster in your system. But for the most part, day in, day out, I need to stick to whole carbs. Protein, I get about 220 to 230 grams of protein in a day. I get about 2 gallons of water, and I try to stay under 140 grams of fat, which puts me right at about 4,000 calories right now, even though I'm not moving around a lot. So I'm gonna wrap this up. I talked way more than I meant to. I was planning on this being like a 7 or 8 minute video, not 14. So if you guys have any questions about my training, how I program, if you'd like for me to program for you, I'm getting ready to launch an athlete page so that fire breathers that are interested in how I train can get daily programming from me. And look forward to seeing everybody hopefully in the 2021 season, and then we'll be launching our next SFX vlog video here in the next day or two. Thanks again, guys. Have a good one.